This is the Elevate Construction Podcast, delivering remarkable content for workers, leaders, and companies in construction wanting to take their next step. Get ready to step out of your comfort zone with Jason Schroeder as he encourages you to do better, live a remarkable life, and expect more. Let's go.
Welcome to the Elevate Construction Podcast, where we bring happiness to people in the construction industry one step at a time. My name is Jason Schroeder, and today's podcast is number 6 in a series of podcasts about organizational health. We are going to talk about the 5 dysfunctions of a team. So why listen today? Do you want a system to identify dysfunction in a team? Do you lack the definable steps to help your team succeed with organizational health? Have you seen these systems, these patterns, these processes, these models, but you just aren't sure how to implement? Well, if any of these things sound true for you, then today's podcast will be amazing. You'll want to listen. There's a lot of content in today, so please strap up, buckle in, hold on, and let's go. So I will not give you a quote until just a little bit later because I have a fantastic opportunity for us to connect with a quote. So I won't give that to you now, but I will immediately go into kind of an overview of a story. So at the research laboratory, I had read the 5 dysfunctions of a team, and I immediately started to just really get kind of catchy on the whole, hey, build trust, have healthy conflict, create commitment, set goals together, start holding each other accountable, and start performing. And then I was like, hey guys, we should go do this. And I remember going in to the team meeting and saying, hey, let's all read this book. And then I think I magically kind of expected it to fix everything, honestly. And so after like 2 weeks, I was like, hey, did everybody read that book? All right, let's talk about it. Let's do something. And it was still crickets. And I was like, yeah, but hey, we know this model. We can start working through this. Let's start building trust. Let's start having conflict. Let's start doing this. And crickets. And I remember also, and I've said this in a previous podcast, like I got all trashy. I was like, woohoo, we got licensed to start having conflict around here. And so I became kind of a drama queen for a little bit. I just told everybody what I thought, and it went in the wrong direction. And I realized that I was just way off. And I went to the Lean Congress, I think it was 2017, and we were presenting there on some lean, concepts that we were presenting. From the project, from some of the cool things that we had done. And I heard Patrick Lencioni speak in person. And he said, and he put his right hand up and he said, if this is no conflict, and he put his left hand up and he said, if this is hell, and I'm not cussing, he's like this is like misery. And if you want to be somewhere in the middle, you want to start inching people towards that middle. And so he moved his hand just in little increments. And I was like, ooh, I got that wrong. I need to go back and repent and fix things. And I realized that getting past the 5 dysfunctions of a team, there's a process there, but it is very intentional. And we really, really have to work at it. And so we intentionally started working at it. We started to go through some of these exercises. We took the advice of the book. There's also a field manual that you can download and pay for. We started practicing together. We asked the team, how can we build trust? What kind of healthy conflict can we engage in so that we can get to more of the ideal? How do you like feedback personally according to your personality type? We had facilitated, meaning intentionally facilitated goal sessions. What are we trying to do this month, this week, this next phase of the project? And then for accountability, we started to actually practice that in team meetings. And then we actually started to perform. And I've made no secret about the fact that that team was one of the best teams that I think I'll ever get to work with. We just did a fantastic job. We came together and it was over the top wonderful. So let me take you through the process, the principle here. So the pyramid that you would draw if you were going through the 5 dysfunctions of a team is first trust, second conflict, third commitment, fourth accountability, and then 5 results. Now, I do want to mention that to pull a team through that pyramid, to pull them up, you have to have a big, hairy, audacious goal like Jim Collins talks about, or a strenuous performance goal, or something that will pull that team through there. There has to be a need. There has to be something thing that creates the need, that pulls everyone up, that magnetizes everybody, and that creates that momentum. So let me talk about a couple of things. So the first dysfunction is one, absence of trust. The fear of being vulnerable with team members prevents the building of trust within the team. Dysfunction number two, fear of conflict. The desire to preserve artificial harmony stifles the occurrence of productive, ideological conflict. Dysfunction number three, lack of commitment. The lack of clarity or buy in prevents team members from making decisions they will stick to. Dysfunction number four, avoidance of accountability. The need to avoid interpersonal discomfort prevents team members from holding one another accountable for their behaviors and performance. And then dysfunction number five, inattention to results. The pursuit of individual goals and personal status erodes the focus on collective success. So if we want to build trust, engage in healthy conflict, have common goals, have commitment among the team so that we can hold each other accountable to those committed goals and then perform, we have to get rid of the dysfunctions of absence of trust, fear of conflict, lack of commitment, avoidance of accountability, and inattention to results. Now, I'm going to give just a quick shout out to all of the people out there that have built their careers being politically correct and never engaging in these behaviors, never speaking up, never trying to like get out of this kind mode. You know, maybe there are some religious principles that you have been taught that makes you feel like you always have to be kind. And I'm going to call you out right now. You will never build a team. And I want you to hear me on this. You will never, 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 ever build a team unless you're willing to have healthy conflict and hold each other accountable. When it's time for us to be patient with ourselves, when it's time for us to be forgiving, when it's time for us one-on-one to like turn the other cheek, that's fine. When we need to be there for a team and build a team and protect others, we need to pick up a sword and we need to be willing and brave and courageous enough to speak up, to step up, and to go get it done. There are two different scenarios that we're dealing with. And I do want to be clear one more time. In life, in general, one-on-one, How to Win Friends and Influence People, my favorite book on earth. In addition to the scriptures, my favorite book, like that will hold you over most of the time. And then when you get into team building mode, you have to get into the conflict mode. You have to get into the speak up mode. You have to get into the, hey, I'm going to talk, I'm going to hold people accountable. I'm going to raise my hand. I'm going to say the uncomfortable things. You have to get into that mode. There are two different modes. One of my biggest annoyances are people that get too pious and pompous and do-gooder like too with me on this topic, and they won't speak up, and they're like, no, you just need to be kind. No, let's squash that. No, let's be harmonious. No, you don't want to offend somebody. No, no, no. And I'm saying no to you. Like, that's not what we're doing. We need to build teams. We need to speak up. I'm tired of all of this politically correct crap when it comes to being nice. Now, if we want to be politically correct appropriately for things like race, religion, protected class. And if we want to go out there and fight like I do against discrimination and against sexism and against harassment and against abuse, absolutely. That kind of political correct, like activism to protect the innocent, I'm jamming with that. But this concept that we can't speak up and we can't say things to other people for fear of offending them, I'm not with that kind of political correctness. We have to get rid of this. So if you're one of those like persons that's going to disagree with me and say, no, we should always be harmonious and fluffy and nice and never say anything. And no, like I'm calling you out. It's because of you. It's people like you that make it to where people don't speak up about sexual harassment. It's people like you that don't speak up that bring to pass situations where discrimination isn't dealt with. People like you, why criminals don't go punished. It's people like you why we don't have transparent environments. It's people like you that are creating situations where the innocent are not protected. I want you to sit down. I want you to back off. I want you to stop saying this stuff. Anybody should be able to be transparent. Anybody should be able to speak up. Anybody should be able to hold their team accountable. Anybody should be able to engage in healthy conflict. I don't care if you're in a religious organization or if you're in politics or if you're at work. I don't care where you are. Speak up, protect the innocent, build your team. That's what we have to do. I am tired of the people that do not speak up. In fact, most of the political trouble that we have today is because people aren't accountable. They won't speak up. They won't engage in healthy conflict. We would have better organizations. We would have better teams. We would have better companies. We would have better environments. We would have better religious institutions. We would have better churches. We would have better just everything if everyone would just speak up and hold each other accountable. So if you have been fighting against that, sit down, be quiet, and you need to learn something right now. Now, for the rest of you who love me and are willing to engage in these things, I love you. Please take this journey with me, okay? Because you will never build a team without healthy conflict and engaging in accountability. So let me take you through a couple more things now that I've done my little rant through the principle here. So this is in the PDF download for the 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. And Patrick Lencioni says, a former client, the founder of a billion-dollar company, best expressed the power of teamwork when he once told me, if you could get all the people in the organization rowing in the same direction, you could dominate any industry and any market against any competition at any time. And whenever I repeat this adage to a group of leaders, they immediately nod their heads, but in a desperate sort of way. They seem to grasp the truth of it while simultaneously surrendering to the impossibility of actually making it happen. So here's how we address those dysfunctions. To begin improving your team and to better understand the level of dysfunction you're facing, ask yourself these simple questions. Do team members openly and readily disclose their opinions? Are team meetings compelling and productive? Does the team come to decisions quickly and avoid getting bogged down by consensus? Do team members confront one another about their shortcomings? Do team members sacrifice their own interests for the good of the team? And if the answer is no, we have work to do. So let's talk a little bit more about the dysfunctions. I'm actually going to read you 5 little sections here, then we're going to continue. All right, the dysfunctions. Absence of trust. This occurs when team members are reluctant to be vulnerable with one another and are unwilling to admit their mistakes, weaknesses, or needs for help. Without a certain comfort level among team members, a foundation of trust is impossible. Second, fear of conflict. Teams that are lacking on trust are incapable of engaging in unfiltered, passionate debate about key issues, causing situations where team conflict can easily turn into veiled discussions and back-channel comments. In a work setting where team members do not openly air their opinions, inferior decisions are the result. And I might add, going back to my rant, in any team, in any organization, anywhere, if people won't speak up about the truth, that's where evil is hidden. That's where problems don't go addressed. That's where we stop protecting the innocent, and we have to get out of that. I want to take people's minds. This is me going on a rant real quick. Fear of conflict isn't just something that's like, oh, we should do that to better our team or to better our company. Fear of conflict is hurting people. Fear of conflict is letting the innocent go abused and getting them to be to the point where they're being victimized. Fear of conflict is disgusting behavior, and we have to get out of it. I have it. I'm not above it, but I know that it's wrong, and I let it bug me enough to where I constantly want to fix it. So there's rant number 2. Lack of commitment. Without conflict, it is difficult for team members to commit to decisions, creating an environment where ambiguity prevails. Lack of direction and commitment can make employees, particularly star employees, disgruntled. Number 4, avoidance of accountability. When teams don't commit to a clear plan of action, even the most focused and driven individuals hesitate to call their peers on actions and behaviors that may seem counterproductive to the overall good of the team. Number 5, inattention to details. Team members naturally tend to put their own needs, ego, career development, recognition, etc., ahead of the collective goals of the team when individuals aren't held accountable. If a team has lost sight of the need for achievement, the business ultimately suffers. So those are the principles. This is the 5 dysfunctions of a team. Now, you can get past that, and we can implement steps that will help us to get past those if we just focus a little bit and we make it intentional. I think the message for me in this podcast is to make it intentional. So let me take you through a couple of concepts that I have outlined here. So the concept of healthy conflict is one of the most important items. And the other one, which I've mentioned before, is having a strenuous performance goal to pull you through it. So if you have that strenuous performance goal, then you need to be able to get past that storming phase. You need to be able to engage in healthy conflict to get anywhere with the team. So here are some things that I am going to mention that will hopefully help you with this. So number one, anger is fear. Anytime somebody is angry, that means they're afraid of losing something. That's a beautiful concept for us to understand, because if it's unhealthy conflict and you've gone way over to the other side of the spectrum, just realize that somebody has a fear there. And you can immediately go in and address the fear to get it back to where it's healthy conflict. In fact, most of the time, you have the opportunity in a conversation to say, okay, we're getting mad, time out, time out. Let me tell you what I'm worried about. I fear, and you can just say that. You don't have to be tough. You don't have to be like, have your act together. You just say, I'm afraid of this. I'm really freaking out. It's keeping me up at night. And I'm so passionate about this, and I want to get on the same page with you, because vulnerably I'm sharing with you that this makes me afraid. This makes me nervous. I'm really worried about this. And that can really change the entire conversation. Okay. The other thing is, we have to notice that controlling behavior is unhealthy. Authoritative behavior is healthy. Authoritative consequences are healthy. So if we're in a conversation and we're trying to control that conversation, that's not healthy conflict. We're back into the unhealthy conflict. One person is dictating to the other. But if you are having an engagement, and even if you have a difference, right, in position there may be some hierarchy, there may be some authority, it may be a hard conversation. If you are authoritative and you talk about consequences and you talk about options, that will get you back from the unhealthy controlling dictator mode to the authoritative, hey, this is the situation we're dealing with mode. Okay. The other thing is, you can engage in healthy conflict and win without fighting. There's no need to fight. There's no need to argue. Basically, you're looking for a win-win. You are looking for a situation that is most successful for both parties or with the team. And you have to always remember, what is the most respectful answer here and what is the right thing to do. So you might have to be open and honest about, hey guys, in my mind, this is where we're headed and this is the right thing to do. And that may be uncomfortable for us. Or, hey, this is the best way that we're going to respect this group if we don't tolerate this behavior. But at least you've tied it back to principles that you can explain, and hopefully from there, focus on a win-win. So we need to make sure that that is our focus, a win-win, and realize that change is hard. And we talked about this in a previous podcast, but people have to know what to do. They have to be motivated to do it. And then we have to shape the path. So if we are talking to another person on the team and we're just railing on them over and over and over about the same thing, but we haven't helped them know what to do, feel motivated to do that, right? And then clear the path and make it a little bit easy for them, or at least possible, then we might be in the unhealthy conflict side of the spectrum. And by addressing the three things that people need to actually change, we can bring it back to the healthy side. So no one likes conflict. Let me just say that. Nobody likes conflict. Even the people that say they like conflict, they don't really like conflict. So we need to make it as honest, as open, and as transparent as we possibly can, but bring them along with us. And so usually it's a matter of getting to know their personalities, doing a personality assessment. I prefer Myers-Briggs, and saying to a person or asking them, how do you like to engage in conflict? What's the most comfortable scenario there? And then once you know, to intentionally practice. You cannot assume that people will be okay with this. You have to intentionally practice ways that are comfortable. And I always say, create safe pathways for communication. The other thing that will, so real quick, back to the last one. So if you find safe pathways to communicate, then you can take it from the unhealthy spectrum back to the healthy side. So now it's healthy conflict. Okay, so removing hierarchy. I cannot stress this enough. I know that everyone has a boss and every boss has direct reports, or everyone has a manager and every manager has direct reports. I get it. That to me is more about coaching and development. That is more to me about mentoring. When I'm talking about hierarchy, I'm talking about when people play boss. Like, I'm going to tell you to do this, or I'm going to have you, or I'm going to send you over here, or you do this. This old 9 to 5 banker kind of, if you're a banker, don't get mad at me, but like this kind of like stuffy dictator kind of like boss playing. Like that's what I'm trying to get out of here. If you do not engage with your direct reports in a way where they feel comfortable speaking with you, where you can have a laugh every now and then, personal connections, emotional connections, they know you care. They have the 3 things that make for a remarkable job, right? If you don't have that and there's hierarchy, there is no trust for you to engage in healthy conflict. It will be unhealthy conflict. So you have to create those safe pathways to communication. You have to remove as much negative hierarchy as possible. Leave the positive coaching, mentoring hierarchy, if you want, the respect hierarchy, but the authoritative, controlling hierarchy, we want as much of that gone as possible for us to be able to engage in healthy conflict. The other thing is, and it's not another thing, it's the key thing, you have to be vulnerable to gain trust. And if you're not vulnerable, you cannot engage in healthy conflict. If you never apologize, if you never admit that you're wrong, if you're never vulnerable, if you're never being willing to go along with the team, then you cannot engage in healthy conflict, right? The other thing is that you have to know, and this is something that I didn't figure out until years of trying to implement this. Accountability does not work as well outside the team. I remember one time I was working with a subcontractor, not a trade partner, because they weren't accountable, and with leaders with that subcontractor that they just weren't going to get it. And I was trying to engage in accountability with them, and it wasn't working. I'm like, this system isn't working. And I realized that Patrick always says that healthy conflict is with your leadership team, with your key group. And so you have to realize who is on that key group and who isn't. And if you have a subcontractor that needs to become a trade partner and they don't have any leadership there that can be on the team, that can be trusted, that you can engage in healthy conflict with, then you need to consider a leadership change. So accountability does not work outside of a team environment. It works within the team. So those are some things that you can do to better engage in healthy conflict. If you need that list, reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'll give it back to you. Please let me know. So I'll go through these other lists briefly to close out this podcast on time, but also you can always reach out to me. I'm not going to give you a lot of description with these. So the typical method that I use for developing a team is to first understand what the performance goal is. What are the project goals? What are the team goals? Then how is the team organized? What is the organization chart? What is the focus of the team organization? How are they organized? What are the team sizes? Are they organized geographically? Are they organized by scope? If you're within a department, is there any distinction between what people's roles are? How do we make sure that everybody is mentored? What is the organization of that team? Then the third thing that I'll do is help the team focus on their meeting systems, because we have to have the right systems and structure to then go practice proper behavior. So what is the meeting system? Once you have a meeting system, what is the leader's standard work for the team and for individual leaders in that team based on what the goals are, what the organization is, what the meeting system is? What is the next level of organization for leader standard work for individuals? Now, I might lose you on this one, but I can't lose you on this one. You need to stay with me, please. The next one is, how are you going to organize your office or your trailer or your environment? How are you going to organize it visually? How are you going to organize the smells? Listen to me on that. The way your trailer smells. How are you going to organize the sounds in your trailer, in your place of business, in your office? If it's a department, how are you going to organize it remotely through Zoom meetings or through Teams or through Skype? These things make a difference because you build a team through the goals, through the organization chart, through the meeting system, through your leader standard work, through the vehicle that becomes your office, your trailer organization. Then you have to keep everybody on a system that keeps them on schedule. And there are systems, and I really like what's on Microsoft Teams. There are other apps out there, there are other softwares, there's online platforms that keeps the team on schedule and allows there to be a collective sense of what the assignments are. I always, with teams, do personality profiles, and we'll talk about that in a different podcast. And I always talk about what are the performance goals for this team that we know if we accomplish these, we're winning. So this is the typical method that I use to go disrupt a team. I'll always make sure that, in fact, let me actually go through the list. So this is the process that I also follow. So if you have the goals, the org chart, the meeting system, the leader standard work, the proper trailer, the schedule, the collective sense of keeping to-do lists or assignments or commitments, and the team has the personality profiles. Those are the things that you do so that you can then go do this. Disrupt the teams. Get everybody into an integrated system. Get everybody speaking up. Different people leading the meetings. Everybody rallied around the goals. Then you start to identify the leaders that want to step up. You shake things up a little bit. You push people a little bit to see what their capabilities, what their interests are. Once you start to see that, then you'll start to normalize around that org chart that I was talking about. You'll see where people want to head and where they belong. Then you get the people on the bus that belong there and the wrong people in your organization off the bus, like Jim Collins says. And then you get everybody in the right seats. Once everybody's organized within the team according to proper goals, now you need to make sure that you are using the systems of the org chart, the meeting system, the leader standard work, the trailer or the office, the schedule, the commitments, everything else like that. You start using your systems to focus on the purpose of the team. And then you continue to run organizationally excellent meetings. Remarkable, beautiful meetings that continually tie back to the core purpose. And if you reflect, do plus deltas, ask for feedback, continue to have healthy discussions with everybody participating, then you'll start to create stability, number one. And number two, solve problems and drive the organization in the direction that it needs to be driven. And once everything starts to stabilize, then you can start improving. And then, you'll start to notice that, hey, we'll be more intentional with the leadership group among the team. We'll be more intentional with our meeting structure. We'll cut out waste. We'll start to do key things, on Microsoft Teams or another application that start to standardize how the team interacts with each other. We'll start to make things better. We'll start to take care of customers better. And the organization will just grow and develop and just get better and better and better according to integrated project delivery principles, IPD principles, integrated principles. So I hope this podcast has been helpful. The current condition right now is that people do not feel safe and comfortable. Teams are in silos. There's politics. There's turf wars. People are wasting times. They're more like committees than teams. Meetings are garbage. They're just like worthless. And so the solution would be, if I had to give you a solution, is make sure that there is a strenuous performance goal. Practice engaging in healthy conflict in meetings. Understand and read the 5 dysfunctions of a team. And then go do some of these things. So let me give you some tips here, some tips and tricks. Try going around the room and having each person share something about their history. Patrick Lencioni has this exercise on his website under the table group. Go around the room and have each person say nice things about each other, going in a circle, semicircle, clockwise or counterclockwise, whichever one you want to do. As a leader, have your team intentionally practice giving you feedback. If you can see somebody in the team meeting wanting to say something, pause for a moment and say, hey, there's something there. Would you trust us enough to share that? And get people practicing the trust phase of team development. Have ways in the team meeting where you mine for conflict and you actually practice it. In meetings, once you get people used to these behaviors, continue coaching. Set a goal to have one conversation every team meeting that will build that culture. And make sure that you're connecting with your people. So you can also download the PDF, you can ask for help, you can order the field guide for the 5 dysfunctions of a team, but please make a plan today and set it as a goal to go intentionally practice. And again, if you would like my help, reach out to me. I can help you with these things. Organizational health is the number one strategic advantage or the number one focus that any company should have. So in your meetings, don't get trashy. Don't have impossible situations. Inch people along bit by bit. Have the entire team read the 5 dysfunctions of a team. Also have their families read it if you can. Get some visible goals, set some common team behaviors, and keep up the positive. Keep praising people for speaking up. Keep praising people for sharing. Keep praising people for entering the danger. Keep praising people for modeling these behaviors and get them used to it and pull them into a trusting and safe environment, because everybody on your team will wait until they see if it's going to stick and will wait until they can see if it's safe before they engage in these behaviors. So I hope this has been helpful. I really hope you start to engage in these proper behaviors and you get rid of the 5 dysfunctions of a team. I love this book. I love this content. Here's a promise. This works everywhere it's tried, where the team commits to it and the leader is committed to it. It works everywhere we try it. So the vision for this would be that everybody on the team is able to function at a high performing level by building trust, engaging in healthy conflict, being able to set goals together where everyone weighs in and buys in, and that everyone can hold each other accountable in more incremental and more frequent ways. And then the team performs because they don't have the problem of, oh, I don't perform because we're not holding each other accountable. I don't hold each other accountable because we don't have goals that we set together. We didn't do it together. And we don't have goals set together because we won't speak up to each other. And we don't speak up to each other because we don't trust each other. And as I just said that, you just recalled in your memory a situation either now or in the past where that has happened. And this model will get you past it. So the vision for this would be that everyone loves their team. There's an intentional way to get it done. We are able to function at a high level. We're able to get past it and use the table groups tools and systems to get past it at www.tablegroup.com. And I do want to say, I've heard of lots of different consultants. They'll come charge you $5,000 here, $8,000 there, or something thousand over here, or $50,000 for this, and they'll come consult and they'll go give this advice. And I've never seen a better model, a better system than what the table group gives. And they don't pay me. In fact, I pay money to them to be affiliated with them and to have all of their content, their resources, their downloads, their coaching, their videos, their guides, their philosophy, right? I chose to align myself with these guys because they have the most simple, implementable systems, and they're all lean systems, and they tailor to construction beautifully. So I hope this helps. Until we meet again, please go make a plan for yourself. Go take that one next step. There's a lot in this podcast. I do that so that you can grocery shop the concepts that you want and then go back and reach out for more. I want your awareness to be higher. So go take that next step. Do something. Let's get it done. Until we meet again, on we go.
Please join us next time in elevating the entire construction experience for workers, leaders, and companies coast to coast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to share with your construction colleagues and help us spread the word by rating, subscribing, and leaving a review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate it. We'll catch you next time on the Elevate Construction Podcast.